I found this pair of questions kind of difficult, and I think the thing that really helps me the most is just reminding myself to narrow my focus, right? I say this a lot. The reason I use the no reading strategy, the entire outlook that I have about the reading section, is that the passages are not nearly as important as the questions and the choices, right? So if you're confused about the passage, if that's slowing you down, you've got to shift your focus. It's not about understanding the lines, it's about understanding what the questions want from you. So in this case, I really want to understand what the question is asking because the lines are very difficult. There's a lot of science I don't really understand. And there are some strong words here that I think are important. And so strong words, we're supposed to notice them in the choices, but we can notice them in the question as well. Based on the passage, the authors would most likely say that conducting deep all-sky surveys to obtain information about ancient galaxies is. So deep all-sky surveys, all the sky, okay? Deep all-sky surveys. So now when I go to these line references in 49, I'm going to skip down to there, I'm looking for something that's kind of talking about the entire sky. So let's go to 39 and 45. So that is here. It's a lot of stuff. Candles became the largest observing program ever undertaken by Hubble. The telescope devoted 600 hours, fully 10% of its observing time, to candles for 3 years, surveying an area of sky 60 times larger than the HUDF. Okay, so it's a large amount of sky, albeit to brighter limiting magnitudes, about 27 for candles compared to 30 for HUDF. Okay, a lot of stuff there. Now, it might help me to look at what candles is again. That's all the way up here. They do explain what that stands for, and sure enough, deep sky is kind of part of it. Deep Extragalactic Legacy Survey. So deep is in there, but it's not saying that they're surveying all the sky. It's a large area of the sky, but it's not all of it. So I don't know. So this is about a large area. I'm going to just write that. At this point, I wouldn't know if this is a good choice or not. It's kind of related, so I'm going to leave it in, but I'm not going to try to dissect it anymore. I'm going to move on and see what else I can find. 51 to 53, line reference B. So that is here, this one short sentence. Because remote galaxies are so faint, the 5 target areas were away from our Milky Way's star-studded plane. So, okay, they're small areas, or they're targeted areas, but it doesn't say anything about the entire sky. So, okay, let's look at 53 to 58. Keep going. Much as pollsters and medical researchers learn about the human population as a whole, the entire population, okay, by studying carefully selected samples of a small number of individuals, we chose the 5 target areas because they're physically representative of the universe at large. So they're not using the exact same words, but they're very clearly capturing that same idea of the entire sky. And what are they saying? They're saying we didn't survey the entire sky. We just looked at small areas the same way that a pollster looks at small areas of the population to conduct a survey. So I'm gonna put small areas here. So I know this is getting confusing with my little notes, but it's helpful. 67 to 69, that's down here, and that's this last sentence. Such a rich treasure trove provides powerful new data for statistical studies of galaxy growth and evolution. So, okay, they're talking about this in a positive way. It seems like I'd like to know what the treasure trove is. What does it say if we go back? It surveyed a total area of only about that of the full moon. The long exposure looks so deep into the cosmos that they recorded roughly 250,000 ancient galaxies in enough detail to reveal their sizes, shapes, and even gross internal structures. So the treasure trove is what they saw, but it's not the entire sky. It's only about the size of the moon. So again, this is not the entire sky. So these all kind of are related in certain ways. But the one that's most obviously talking about the entire sky is the one that used those similar words. Everything else is maybe in the background, but line reference C was specifically saying why they didn't look at the entire sky. They didn't need to, because the same reason a pollster doesn't need to ask every single person in existence to find the answer to a question. It's a survey. You get a little bit of a slice, and that tells you something about what's going on everywhere. So in that way, looking at the entire sky is unnecessary, because you can learn a lot just by looking at the small targeted area. So there are definitely some tricks here. I mean, justified kind of matches maybe with D, because that was a very positive choice, so there's a little bit of a temptation there. It is a deep all-sky survey. The phrasing of the question, I guess, is a little misleading here, but I could see why someone would pick D, because all of our answer choices seem to be saying that they did not look at the entire sky. They only looked at a small area. But this is negative, but what we really want to say is that not looking at the entire sky is okay, right? It's not a bad thing. It's not like they didn't do their job. They're just using statistical analysis to kind of do the job in a much more efficient way. It's tricky. It's tricky. But notice, I'm not so much focused on what they learned about the galaxies. I'm not so much focused on the science and the astronomy here. It's a lot more about the methods of the experiment. And this is why, for science passages, you really can't get bogged down in the science. They're very rarely asking about that. You don't need to know anything. It's really about the methodology and the way the author talks about it. And so here, it's really just understanding like a scientific concept of, looking at a small thing and then extrapolating to a larger thing. That's pretty common. Scientists do that all the time. And they explicitly say that that's what they're doing here. So it is in the lines. It's just, you got to kind of pay attention to the question, narrow your focus so that you know what you're looking for when you go into those lines. Otherwise, they might kind of seem all the same.